Think you can just walk in here and lie to my face?
Please, I
Don't
didn't...
you dare play innocent with me!
I swear I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey,
Sir, step away from
this
her.
doesn't concern...
The slap echoed through the diner. Cups stilled. Conversations died. And for a moment, even time seemed to stop. The billionaire's hand trembled, but not from guilt, from fear. Because the door had just opened, and in stepped a man whose presence made the air itself tighten. His eyes found the red mark on his mother's cheek, and something inside him broke. He wasn't just her son. He was the man whom powerful men feared to cross, and in that moment, the billionaire realized his empire couldn't save him. This is the story of arrogance meeting consequence. Comment your city below. It was just after 7 a.m. when Martha Jenkins pushed open the glass door of Eddie's Diner, a small, time-worn restaurant tucked between two luxury boutiques in downtown Chicago. For 15 years, she'd been coming here before her morning shift at the community center, a ritual that felt like home. The smell of coffee, the soft hum of the jukebox, the same booth by the window where sunlight touched her hands. These were the small comforts that reminded her that peace still existed, even in a city that often looked past women like her. Martha was 72, her hair silvered with wisdom, her smile warm enough to calm storms. She'd seen hard days, raising 2 sons alone after her husband's passing, working double shifts to keep them fed. But through it all, she had carried herself with quiet dignity. She never complained, never asked for pity. She simply believed in goodness, even when the world didn't return the favor. That morning felt no different, until it did. The door chimed again, and in walked Gregory Haynes, a billionaire investor known for his arrogance more than his wealth. The kind of man newspapers glorified, but his employees whispered about behind closed doors. He was used to being served first to people stepping aside. When he entered, even the air seemed tense. Martha noticed him only because he took the booth directly behind her, his expensive cologne mixing with the smell of pancakes. She thought nothing of it at first. Just another man with too much money and too little kindness. But then, she heard the muttering, the disdainful tone, the words dripping with contempt as he complained about the type of people who filled the diner. Something in her chest tightened. She didn't look back, didn't speak. Still, a storm was coming. And by the time it broke, Eddie's Diner would never be the same again. The diner had always been a place of quiet, unspoken harmony. The kind of spot where construction workers, teachers, and retirees all shared space without judgment. But the moment Gregory Haynes walked in, that peace fractured. His tailored suit and gleaming watch caught the light, a contrast to the diner's cracked leather seats and fading menu boards. He didn't belong here, and he wanted everyone to know it. He barked his order at the young waitress, impatience laced in every word. When his coffee arrived slightly cooler than expected, he sneered, calling it typical service in this part of town. The waitress flushed, muttered an apology, and hurried away. Martha watched quietly, her eyes soft but observant. She'd seen men like him before, the kind who believed money made them untouchable. Still, she stayed silent. She opened her newspaper, sipped her tea, and reminded herself that some storms weren't worth walking into. But when Gregory's voice rose again, she couldn't tune it out anymore. A young black busboy had accidentally dropped a plate near Gregory's table. The shattering porcelain silenced the diner. Gregory's reaction was instant, a glare sharp enough to slice through the room. "Useless," he muttered loudly, shaking his head. Then his gaze shifted to Martha. For reasons only arrogance could explain, he decided she was part of the problem. "Look at this place," he scoffed. "People like you come in here and the standards fall apart." The words stung, not because they were new, but because they were familiar. Martha lifted her head slowly, her calm composure hiding a trembling heart. "Sir," she said softly, "you don't have to talk to people that way." The diner went still. Gregory laughed, a cold, cutting sound. "Don't tell me what I can or can't do, old woman," he spat, his voice low but dangerous. Then, with a suddenness that made heart stop, he raised his hand and struck her across the face. The sound of the slap cracked like thunder. The entire diner froze. The waitress gasped, The cook dropped a spatula, and the young busboy stepped forward, then stopped, fear paralyzing him. Martha didn't move. Her hand touched her cheek, her eyes steady, refusing to give him the satisfaction of a tear. Gregory straightened his jacket, sneering. "You should know your place," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "People like you should be grateful for scraps." No one dared breathe. But outside, through the diner's window, a dark car had just pulled up to the curb. Two men in suits stepped out, scanning the area before opening the rear door. Inside, Martha exhaled slowly. Her voice was quiet but steady. "You just made the worst mistake of your life." Gregory's smirk faltered. The door chimed again. And when the man who stepped through looked around the diner, his expression shifting from calm to fury, the air itself seemed to tighten. Because that man, her son, wasn't just anyone. He was the underboss of the Romano crime family, and he had just seen the red mark on his mother's face. The diner fell into a silence so deep it felt alive. Every pair of eyes shifted toward the man who had just entered. Marcus Jenkins, Martha's eldest son. Broad-shouldered, sharply dressed, his presence carried weight far beyond his words. The faint glint of his cufflinks and the heavy watch on his wrist spoke of quiet power, the kind that didn't need to announce itself. His gaze landed on his mother first. The red imprint on her cheek told him everything. Then his eyes moved to Gregory Haynes. The billionaire, who moments ago towered with arrogance, now looked like a child caught in a storm he didn't understand. Marcus walked forward slowly, each step echoing against the tiled floor. The air thickened. The waitress backed away. The cook peeked from the kitchen doorway. Gregory tried to speak, but his voice cracked. "Listen, I didn't know—" Marcus stopped in front of him, his face unreadable. "You didn't know what?" he asked quietly, his tone controlled, dangerous in its restraint. "That the woman you just hit raised me from nothing? That the same hands you disrespected once carried me through every hardship?" Gregory's face drained of color. The diner's hum was replaced by the pounding of his heart. Marcus leaned closer, his voice low enough for only him to hear. "You laid your hands on my mother. You don't walk away from that." Outside, the men in black suits stood by the door, waiting. The billionaire finally realized he wasn't the one in control anymore. "Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments." Gregory's arrogance crumbled faster than his courage. The entire diner held its breath as Marcus stood there, a man torn between rage and restraint. Behind him, his men waited for a signal, but it never came. Instead, Marcus turned to his mother, his voice soft. "Let's go, Mama." Martha rose slowly, dignity untouched despite the bruise. She placed a gentle hand on her son's arm, her eyes filled not with anger, but disappointment. "No, son," she said quietly. "We don't repay hate with hate. We rise above it." Her words cut deeper than any threat ever could. Gregory couldn't look at her. The weight of what he'd done settled like chains on his chest. As the mother and son walked toward the door, whispers filled the diner. Shock, awe, respect. The billionaire sat frozen, realizing too late that true power wasn't measured in money or fear. It was in grace, the kind shown by the woman he had tried to humiliate. Outside, Marcus helped his mother into the car, his jaw tight, his heart heavy. "You sure you don't want me to handle this?" he asked. Martha smiled faintly. "You already did, by walking away." That night, the story spread across the city, not as another scandal of wealth and violence, but as a lesson in restraint, dignity, and justice. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge is forgiveness. And maybe that's the real question, dear viewers. When faced with injustice, would you have walked away or made them pay?